What's up, everybody? It's your shot, Buie. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button as I upload a video on a weekly basis covering the hottest topics in sports, especially if it is OU related. This is Ballin' with Buie. Today, I want to break down a big card coming up in the UFC 259. Gonna give my predictions, tell you what I think's gonna happen. It's got 3 title fights on the card. Just gonna break down the main card, not gonna talk about the prelims at all. So let's dive on in. First fight of the main card is going to be a lightweight bout between the number 2 contender, Thiago Santos, and the number 4 contender. Not really sure how to pronounce his name 100%, but I think it's Alexander Rakic. But Santos, he lost a title fight to John Jones in 2019, and then he lost his only bout in 2020 to Teixeira. But he did beat the current light heavyweight champion, Blachowicz, in 2019 by TKO. So he's a very good fighter. I mean, these losses that he's had they were to good fighters, don't get me wrong, but that doesn't make him... What I'm trying to say is he's not having a downward trend. And he's still a very solid fighter. He's still the number 2 contender in the division. And then you look at Alexander, which he's the favorite last time I checked at minus 155. He's 13-2, 5-1 in the UFC. He won his only fight in 2020 by unanimous decision against Anthony Smith. This fight was probably the only one that I kind of went back and forth on who I thought was going to win, because I think it's going to be a good fight. I think every fight on the main card actually is going to be very good fights. So it took me a while to decide on who I thought was going to win, but I think I am going to go with Santos. I think he's going to start going back up on that upward trend and maybe try and get a title fight. He's sitting at the number 2 spot. You kind of have to consider that the winner of this fight might get the next title fight potentially, or maybe it might go to the number 1 contender. Not really sure, but either way, the winner of this fight is going to put themselves into that conversation. We're going to head to the second fight of the night. Is in the lightweight division between 14 contender Islam Makhachev and then 15 contender Drew Dober. I'm not really sure. Maybe Dober. That probably sounds more right. But Islam, 7-1 since his UFC debut in 2015. He's won 6 in a row. He's a very hot fighter right now. And then Drew, he's also on a bit of a streak. He's won 3 in a row, and all 3 of those have come by TKO. So he's been finishing his fights as of late. But I think Islam is going to win. I mean, he's the big favorite at minus 350. He's 18-1. Like I said, that one loss in the UFC. So I don't imagine him, honestly, picking up a loss to Drew in this one. I mean, Drew is a solid fighter, but I don't think he's on Islam's level. I think Islam is going to be an up-and-coming fighter in that division. I don't know how fast he's going to rise in the ranks, but I do think that he's coming to take some names. So I got Islam winning that one. And then that leads us to the first championship fight of the night. It's bantamweight division for the bantamweight championship between the current champ Petereon and the number 1 contender Aljamain Sterling. Petereon, 7-0 in the UFC. He's been a very good fighter since coming in. He won the vacant title, as you know. Henry Cejudo vacated his belt and retired, so he got the fight for the vacant title against Aldo, and he won by TKO. And that was his last fight, so this will be his first title defense. And then Sterling, he's on a tear. He's won 5 in a row. He beat Sanhagen, who is on a tear right now. He recorded 2 KOs since his loss. Aljamain Sterling beat him in the first round by submission. Honestly, I know Petereon has done some pretty impressive things since he's been in the UFC, but I'm still just not 100% convinced on Petereon. I didn't think that his fight against Aldo was really that convincing. I mean, I wasn't too impressed with it. And Aljamain Sterling, I mean, I think he's coming. I think he's coming to take that belt, and that's who I got winning. I think there's going to be a new bantamweight championship at the end of it. Like I said, I don't think Petereon is a champion. I mean, he's a champ right now, but I don't think he's a champion. I think Aljamain Sterling's gonna show him who the real champ is. So I got Aljamain Sterling winning that one. And the second title fight of the night is Amanda Nunes, who we all know very well, against Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson is 11-4. And Nunes, don't even know where to start on what to say about her. I mean, she's won 11 in a row. She's beaten all the top names in women's UFC. She's beaten Valentina Shevchenko 2 times on her way to this tear, and Shevchenko is a current flyweight champion, and Amanda Nunes beat her twice. And then she's beaten Misha Tate, she's beaten Ronda Rousey, she's beaten Chris Cyborg, she's beaten Holly Holm. She's a featherweight and the bantamweight champion. She holds 2 belts, and honestly, she could probably go grab the flyweight belt from Valentina Shevchenko if she wanted to. She's clearly the greatest fighter of all time. And then we have Megan Anderson coming in to try and pull off one of the biggest upsets, if not the biggest, in UFC history. She's won 2 in a row by first-round finishes. She's a tall, lengthy fighter. She's going to have several inches on Amanda Nunes, about 4 or 5 inches on her. She's going to have reach on her. So it's not going to be an easy fight for Amanda Nunes, just from that standpoint. But I can't go against the GOAT. I probably won't ever go against the GOAT while she's still fighting, while she's still, honestly, in her prime. I mean, she's not young, but she has just been dominating fighters for a couple years now. So I got Amanda Nunes retaining her belt. And then that leads us to the main event of the night. Light heavyweight championship. Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. And Adesanya is a favorite, minus 230. Adesanya is 20-0. But Jan, he's won 4 in a row. He beat Reyes for the belt in 2020. And Adesanya, who we all know about, has been dominating the UFC since he came in, since his debut in 2018. And he's trying to become a 2-weight champ, trying to make history, trying to join an elite list, trying to join an elite company. He's a current middleweight champ, but obviously they're not fighting for the middleweight belt. They're fighting for Jan's light heavyweight championship. And I think it's going to be a fairly good fight, but I think there's going to be a finish. I don't see this fight going the distance. I think someone is going to go down, and I think the one that goes down is going to be Jan. I think Adesanya is going to pull it off. I think he's going to become a 2-time champ in 2 weight divisions. I just can't bet against Adesanya. He's arguably pound for pound the greatest fighter right now. I mean, if Khabib is retired, honestly, in my opinion, the greatest pound for pound fighter right now is either Adesanya or Usman. And if Adesanya wins this fight, then he's the greatest pound for pound fighter without Khabib in there. So yeah, we'll see what happens, man. It's gonna be a great card. I can't wait. I'm excited. It's probably the best card that I've ever seen. I know that there were 3 title fights on a card last year, but these are bigger names, I think, when you look at it fight for fight. So that's all I got for this podcast. I'll catch y'all later. Deuces.